This room.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order for November 18th. The regular, Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order of November 18th, 5:15, the regular school board meeting. We'll do roll call first. Jessica Crosby. Here. Dale Johnson. Here. Tony Corby. Here. Bruce Rathline. Not here. Tina Sather. Not here. Roxanne Skostedich. Here. Joanne Smith. Here. Beth Shimon. Here. Joe Sullivan. Here. Okay, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? That's second. Discussion? Nothing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the Elk Student of the Month. Are these people there? Yeah. Okay. Oh, are we gonna do, oh, that wasn't on the agenda, so in that order. Okay, back up. Does anyone want to speak for open forum? No. Okay, now we'll move on to the Elk Student of the Month.
So Mrs. West is gone today, so I get the privilege of introducing these amazing kids. The first one I have is Cooper Crandall. And I understand that you had pictures with Mrs. West. Is that true with your certificates? Okay. So first I'd like to introduce Cooper Crandall, a great kid, a great athlete. His activities that he's participated in are football and hockey. When asked about what he likes to do when he's not in school, he told us that he enjoys hunting, golfing, going to the cabin, and hanging out with his friends. When he was asked about his future plans, he tells us he is going to a four-year college to get a bachelor's degree. Some of his teachers have some words for Cooper that I will be happy to share. The first person that wrote about Cooper is Mrs. Hammers. She said, "I'm impressed each day by everything that Cooper brings to our FHS atmosphere. His work ethic and integrity show up in every activity he's involved in. It's clear that he's had an impact amongst his classmates and our student body by being a strong leader on the field and on the ice, and more importantly, in our hallways and our classrooms. Anyone that is lucky enough to know Cooper can see he genuinely cares about our school, our community, and the pride of being a Bronco that comes along with that. He is the first to recognize others, to give them credit over himself, and he is always humble about his accomplishments. Cooper is truly a role model for so many young Broncos, and his charisma makes others want to get involved and be leaders too. He has made a huge difference in our school community during his time at FHS." From Mrs. Hammers. Mr. Sandberg writes to us, "I've had the opportunity to have Cooper in my concurrent enrollment classes the last 2 years. In this time, I have observed a very talented young man. He is a true student athlete. He performs at the highest level on the field as well as in the classroom. Beyond athletics and academics, he's truly just a great individual. He's polite, caring, dedicated, and a true leader. He is an ambassador for our school today as well as the future." I'd like to introduce and congratulate Cooper Crandall. That's what we like to hear about our Broncos, huh? All right, Torin, come on up. Proud families, I love that. All right, Torin, you're next. So activities at FHS and athletics include football and baseball. When he is not in school, he enjoys hanging out with his friends, watching other school sports, and going to the gym. After he graduates, he wants to attend college and maybe play baseball. So we have a few statements from teachers within our school. So the first one is from Miss Line. Torrin Thompson is the kind of student that stands out not just for his athletic abilities, but also for his character. I've had the pleasure of teaching him multiple times throughout his high school journey, and each time he's proven to be a model of consistency and excellence. As an athlete, Torrin excels in everything he puts his mind to on the field, demonstrating natural talent and a strong work ethic. What truly sets Torrin apart is his demeanor. He is a quiet leader. He is one who doesn't need to be the loudest in the room to make an impact. He leads by example. He always is considerate and respectful of those around him. Whether it's helping a classmate without being asked or simply showing kindness in his interactions, Torrin embodies what it means to be a great student and a great person. It's been a privilege to watch him grow over the years, and I have no doubt that his future is bright. That is Mrs. Line. The next one is from Miss Hammers. Torrin leads by example. He is never the loudest person in the room, but people always notice the positive impact that he has in his activities and in the classroom. His creativity and wit always brings something fresh to whatever we're working on, and his natural creativity and academic smarts make him a quiet leader amongst his peers. People look up to Torrin because he carries himself with confidence that is contagious. He's the kind of role model who makes a difference without even trying that hard. He is genuine. Torrin's future is beyond bright, and his success will continue on in whatever he does long after he leaves the halls of Falls High School. That's from Mrs. Hammers. But we got a third one, and that one was from Mr. Sandberg. Torrin is a great student athlete. He displays qualities needed to succeed in both areas, academic and athletics. He is dedicated, driven, organized, and works exceptionally hard at tasks he is challenged with. He is a leader among his fellow classmates and teammates. In whatever Torrin does after high school, he will be successful, and he'll contribute many ways to our society. Torrin Thompson, congratulations. So they had pictures with Mrs. West and they have their certificates, so thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll switch to public open forum is already done, and now we'll go to administrative reports. Joe Sullivan, do you have a report?
Alrighty, so we're going to start out with the student council. So today they started their food drive, and it will continue up until this Friday. For the prizes, first place will get a pizza party, second place they will get donuts, and third place gets cookies. And all food collected will be donated to the local food shelf. November 27th is when the student council will host their turkey bingo, later during the 7th hour. And Kate will be passing out donuts the morning of December 16th. And the food, the prizes for the, Alright, so Kate will distribute donuts on December 16th, right before the big break, the start of the new year. To conclude the last week before the break, there will be a crazy cake night, which will run from 4:30 to 6:30, which will promote the prevention of drug and alcohol use while providing students with a fun way to kick off their break before the big break and the new year. That's about it.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any questions of Joe? Okay, thanks, Joe. Melissa Tate, elementary principal, do you have a report?
It's pretty short this month, but our current number of students is 438 this month. It was 436 last month, so we're up a few students from last month. And then We just had our family literacy night on November 7th, and that was a successful night. We want to thank our community volunteers and sponsors that helped to make that possible. PCA, True Insurance, and TrueStar all gave monetary donations, so we were able to purchase books for each student that came to the event. And then Super One for donating all of the ice cream and toppings for the sundae. So we appreciate them that help us make our event successful. And then we also had some community volunteers who came in to help make that event successful. I know Jeff Hardwick volunteered his time to come in, and one of the occupational or physical therapists from the hospital volunteered her time. I feel terrible because I forgot her name right at this moment. Of course I did, but she came in, and then Casey Stenberg from the tech team over here, he came over and volunteered his time. And then we had Bronco cheerleaders, and Torrin and Cooper actually came over too. And so it was really nice. It's always nice to have those big Broncos at our events for our little kids and the community volunteers. So it was a great night. We have our next round of screening coming up in December, and then we'll have our next round of data meetings then also in December. We found last year that we really liked doing that in December rather than waiting for January, so we could hit the ground running in January when we got back with our new intervention groups if things needed to be moved or adjusted, rather than spending more time in January assessing and then not getting started till February. So other than that, I don't, we're still doing our writing training, and, things are just kind of moving along. So do you have any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
And do we have a report from Lisa?
Yes. I'll read Lisa's report this evening. She is on her way to a training for CTE. So she'll be training for another program that we're looking at for the district. So I will present the FHS ALC report for Lisa West, and the updates that she has. The first one she talks about are positive behavior incentives and supports. It's rolling out, and students are now receiving tickets for showing Bronco power under their core values. As we secure funds, we will soon have rewards and incentives that can be traded for tickets and prizes. We have some nice incentives planned for staff as well. We have applied to Falls Education Foundation as well for some other local sources for funding and donations to put together like field trips or assemblies or prizes for the kids. First quarter grades are completed and posted. Students and teachers did a nice job considering it was a tighter deadline for final grade posting this year. Parents and guardians can access them electronically, or they can request paper copies. We now have homework help for students each day offered by various teachers. Students can attend during open hours, so ask for a pass to attend these sessions, and they can access supports for homework during the course of the day as long as they're not missing core instruction. We also have a before school option for science support as well as some after school sessions. The times will be posted on our social media page and advertised around the school. So students will be aware and encouraged to attend these support sessions as needed. We also have introduced this year a system called the Digital Pass, which is named Smart Pass, to the students at the high school. This is in play, and students and staff are exploring this new management system. Right now we're testing it, but so far it's going well. We have a few things to refine and that we'll need to get comfortable with, but overall the reception has been overwhelmingly positive. A special thanks to Mr. Rolando and the tech team, Mike and Casey, for working behind the scenes. So the Smart Pass system, what that is we're getting away from passes that kids would have to carry throughout the school for 21st century learners. So now we have electronic passes. So if a student needs to use a restroom or they need to go to a program or a therapeutic service, what they do is they'll check out electronically in the classroom space that they're in. A timer will be set. And we have people that are walking through the building, so our supervisors in the building can actually see who's in the hallway and what locations that they're in. And we can identify if we have hot spots where people are meeting up, or if we have a high number of kids during certain classes. But it's a tracking data collection system, so we can really see where some of the strengths are within the school building in addition to some of the deficit areas. This is something that we're piloting this year and tracking data. It's really a wonderful tool to have electronically because the answers are basically at our fingertips. The next thing that we have is the 6th through 8th grade dance was held on November 15th. This was a huge success. We have the Frost Bitten Formal coming up on December 7th for grades 7 through 10. And we will be sending our bowling team off to state this week. We're looking at maybe a Friday date for that send-off. And we are super proud and excited for them. And congratulations to our bowling team on this exciting opportunity to head to state. It is Indigenous Heritage Month, and in honor of this, we will be having a drum and jingle dress dance group coming to Falls High School on November 22nd, and then they will be at the elementary school in the afternoon. Principal West, in addition to Tom Ballum and Brandon Barris, in addition to some other people from community education, have been helpful in getting the information together so we can bring this opportunity to our students and staff. We're pretty excited about the experience that the kids will have to celebrate Indigenous Heritage Month. Last but not least, we have current enrollment numbers for the high school. We are currently at 513, which includes 2 new students since October.
Is the jingle dance, is that open to the public?
It's not necessarily open to the public, but as school board members, you could come in, but it's not open to the public. It's for our students and staff at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's see, next, Tom Holt, Maintenance Transportation Director, is there a report from him? And Beth Ann Slotinsky, Community Ed Director.
For You Health has contacted our PALS group coordinator, Angela Schroeder, and they would like to sponsor an activity once a month for the next couple months. So, for example, there's a craft night coming up, and they're just going to buy all the supplies for craft. We have a movie night. They're going to supply the snacks for the movie night. They just had seen our program out and about, and they just reached out and said they'd like to do this for a couple months, and whatever in the future after December, they said that whatever they can help with the program. That's really great because prices of a lot of stuff have gone up. So we're trying to keep our prices lower. This our Dominican class was a huge success. There were 17 participants. The instructor loved our facility, and she would love to do more classes in the future. So that was a really good community connection. Angela and I attended a conference for 2.5 days in Duluth. While we were there, I attended some financial breakout sessions, but we also attended some PALS ones, not PALS, Adults with Disabilities, we call our PALS program here. And it was really nice for her to connect with other people to see what they were doing. I have to admit, it seems like we're almost like a little bit of step up ahead because we already go to football games, we already go to basketball games, we already go to volleyball games. We do a lot more of that kind of stuff. Our bowling program, we get up to 30 participants at bowling when we go, and it seems like in bigger cities they're not getting the traction. So we learned a lot at that conference. Conference. Our upcoming classes, we have an On Your Own class December 11th. I usually have 2 in the spring, but I tried to do one in December before break, and I'll do another one in the spring, and that filled up within a day, so that was good. Driver's training starting January 8th, and like Joe mentioned, we are having a youth night December 19th. We will have the pool open, we'll have open gym, we will have bingo, Boys Sport is collaborating with us. We will have holiday movie showing. We try to get law enforcement in to help chaperone. We get some of the staff from the high school to chaperone. I was looking on the facilities calendar for something else, and I noticed December 19th had nothing because all the sports were done. And so we just jumped on it. And the older students from Cape plan it and do it, so it's always a fun night. And we're going to do it from 4:30 to 6:30, and we will be selling pizza, like a pizza chip water kind of dinner so that kids can eat before they go. Janessa and I are going on the radio November 25th. We talked about programming, and Tim Ringenhofer had approached me about doing an open gym, and I was like, well, let's try it. We'll try it. And he kind of proved me wrong. It was very successful. We've had it one night, we had 45 kids in the gym. So, and some nights we've only had 5, but we've been able to keep it open October, November, and through December. Right now, we've had some staff that have stepped up, and our site managers, and it seems to be going really, really well. We've heard really positive feedbacks, and we've had all different, some kids are coming in and throwing football, some kids are doing volleyball. Like, it's not just basketball or anything like that. So it's been good. We also have the weight room open from 6 in the morning till 7. We had a staff member here that was coming to use the weight room anyway, so like, let's see, maybe, And we do have some people coming. We've had some kids come. It is early, but in order for the staff member to get home and get ready for work. But so we'll continue to keep those open. And I think as long as we have an open slot at the gym, we'll continue to open them. That's all I have.
Questions? I have a question. I can't believe I have so many questions. This one usually don't. But what sport do you have?
I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not even sure. I think it's a home health care place. They just called out of the blue. I think, yeah, it's downtown on one of the side streets, and they just called out of the blue and just said, hey, we heard about your program and we'd like to help. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and next is Tim Ringenhofer, Activities Director.
Thank you. You're my best friend.
Of course, our fall seasons just came to an end here as we get the winter season going. So we'll just start by going through the sports one by one. The Bronco football team finished the regular season with a 5-3 record, finished overall 6-4, including a 5-0 start that had everybody pretty excited around town. 32 players in grades 9 through 12. The staff remained mostly the same with Seth Edisted, Jake Edisted, Dennis Sitke, Jared Koshik, Brandon Barris, Norm Nelson, and Seth Bjornwood. It seemed like they've been there forever now. But added new volunteer assistants, Christian DeVerney and Carson Koshik. The football cheerleaders also had a great season as they had 9 members under the new head coach, McKenna Holt, who went from hockey to football. The JV was able to play 6 games this season and went 5-1. The junior high football team was able to participate in 8 contests, had 18 players, and Dylan Holt and Johnny Sloan were their coaches. The 5th and 6th grade, as some of you may know, began playing tackle bar football, where they wear a device on their back that has 2 bars. That's how you get tackled when the bar gets pulled out of the mechanism, rather than being tackled to the ground. So it's kind of that intermediate step between flag and going to tackle football at the 7th and 8th grade level. Coach Edisted approached me about this. And so we had 25 players who were unbelievably excited to be able to wear pads, the football helmet, the whole 9 yards. It was crazy when we handed equipment out. The teams were coached by Tony Welchel, Troy Freeberg, and Brad Kokesh. They get to play against War Road one game of in Badette in mid-September. Played the 6th from War Open that we can add to that next year as we find more teams and schools that play tackle bar football. The 3rd graders were added to the flag football program, and together with the 4th graders, they had 35 kids out there. I don't know how the 4 coaches managed to rein that much energy in, but they found a way to do it. Augie Schmidt, Sean Bowles, Brady Bowles, and Ellie Jean, and the kids did get to go down to Northwoods and play against their 3rd and 4th graders. The Bronco volleyball team finished the season 3-22 under head coach Aaron Hall. Also coaching during the season, Tennyson Ondahl stepped in to the JV role late in the season and did a fabulous job. Jenica Whitbeck, who's been with the C team for many, many years. Peyton Zahn with the 8th graders, and she's been in that role for a couple of years. And then Cindy Heibel and Emily Nicholson stepped up with the 7th graders. The season finished with around 65 players in those 6 grades for those 5 teams. The elementary volleyball program was coached by Sarah Peterson, Emily Nicholson, Donna Hilford, Elsa Swanson, Christy Levine, and Janet Humbert. Again, those ladies have pretty much stayed constant, it seems, for a couple of years, and that's a great thing for us. The numbers continue to be strong, over 50 players in grades 3 through 6. The cross-country teams had 30 athletes this fall and were coached by Cheryl Henderson and Jen Harrison. The team did have their Heil Pike here on October 15th, and thanks to the coaches, athletes, and custodians for getting the course ready. Nothing but positives from the other teams about how the meet went. It was just, it just kind of works out great that we have it here at where the track ends. It's kind of, still like to have it at the golf course if we have a golf course, and I'm not trying to go down that road, but I'm just saying it's been a good second choice. The girls swimming and diving team had a very successful season as well. They went 6-2 in dual meets. Head coach JJ McBride and assistant coaches Ashley Mitchell and Haley Slivers led their teams. They had 23 girls swimming and or diving, and Ashley and Haley coached the 4th through 6th graders, and they had 15 plus swimmers. The JV Knowledge Bowl team just completed their season under head coach Ariana Saratka. They had 3 kids only competing this fall, but hopefully that number will grow in the future. Their varsity season is going to begin soon. It was mentioned that the Bronco bowling team is heading to the state meet this weekend under head coach Ralph Rule, planning for a Friday morning send-off. I believe I haven't gotten word back from Ralph if that works into their travel plans. Math team has resumed here once again. Got started after many years off. Alex Manassa is the coach. She's got 14 mathletes out there. They had their first meet a couple weeks ago and did very well, I thought, for their first meet. Some thank yous, of course, Jody Lindvall, who is out there at the front desk, but then still manages to get all the stuff that I need done. Of course, to Beth and Lisa and Donnie for everything they do with the number of questions and things that get answered on a daily basis. Tom Holt, the custodial staff, the transportation staff. It's getting more and more difficult for travel with the number of bus drivers we have. I'll make a plea here. If you want to drive a bus, we'd love to have you. All the game workers, I could stand here and list them all out for you, but it's immense. I'm so happy that people step up and do what they do. The kids, both the athletes, competitors, as well as fans, our kids were just outstanding again again this fall at our home games. They're doing the right things, and well, maybe it's better that we say that they're not doing the wrong things. That's the positive thing. I mean, I watched some places this fall, and it just makes me proud of what our kids do when they come to our home games. The coaches, the lots of hours, it's mind-boggling what we ask them to do, and they get the job done. Of course, you know, Beth, she threw kudos my way, and she's been there for me to get things done. It's when we approach this open gym thing, I want to go back to it. I wasn't sure it was going to work either, but the chance for the kids to come in, whether they're working on spring sports, fall sports, winter sports, it doesn't matter. It's something, if we can get the kids doing something positive, working towards a goal, working together, whether they're in a sport or not a sport in the winter time. Winters can be very difficult, and so for her to get people to work, she's been kind of taking care of that, so it's a big deal. Of course, our winter season's getting into full swing. Girls already had a couple home games over the weekend. Boys hockey has a scrimmage/jamboree tomorrow down in Coleraine, so they're off and running. The girls basketball team has a scrimmage over at Rainy River tomorrow night. A bunch of schools coming in: North Montpelier, Little Fork Creek Falls, Lake of the Woods. So they'll be over there. So if you want to go watch a little basketball, boys basketball just got started today. Boys swimming and diving gets started December 2nd. One act play is already underway. They've picked their crew and their cast and the whole stuff. So Elsa Swanson's got everything going in their direction there. Speech is going to get started here in a couple of weeks with our new coach, Sean Bowles. And so he'll have an experience there. I mentioned Knowledge Bowl getting started, and of course, cheerleading. The girls out there getting ready for the boys basketball season and the boys hockey season. Any questions on the report? Also, and I've been asked to do this now, so if you want me to do it later, I can, but about the adapted bowling proposal. I was approached, well, one of the first days that I was the new AD, I received a phone call from a man, his name is Jim Muckelhern, And he called me up and said, "You're the new AD, right?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he says, "You need to get adaptive bowling started at your school." And I'm like, "Okay, what are we getting ourselves into?" And so he has been very persistent. He's been doing this for 35 plus years. He drove all the way from western Minnesota up in the corner, Hallock or someplace over that way to come see us one day out of his own pocket to get us the details that we needed. And so he's very excited and hoping that we will be able to do this. Adaptive bowling has three categories. It has a cognitive impairment set, a physical impairment, and it also has an autistic competition. So it gets broken down into three sessions. This is all for kids in grade 7 through 12. So it's a Minnesota State High School League sport. It is run just like that. So it's just like hockey, basketball, the whole 9 yards. So when we're thinking about it, it's the State High School League runs a state tournament in May, and it's all out. And he said, if you want to go watch something that's going to tear at your heart, he said, go watch the bowling. He said, it's amazing what they do. I did put all this stuff into your packet and for your questions, but I did stop over and talk to Timber Pins. She was more than willing and excited that we would have the opportunity to have our kids come in and practice from 4 to 6 a couple times a week and have a day of competition. One of the things is the kids don't have to leave International Falls weekly to go have their competitions. Maybe we're going to bowl against Staples Motley the first week of the season. And so we'll bowl right here in International Falls. Kids will go bowl their 2 games, and they got a handicap score, and it all gets calculated, and you put it into a spreadsheet, and the winner comes out. But he also suggested that if you have the opportunity to go bowl against somebody, you probably should take the kids. So he suggests Hibbing has a team. He suggests, well, maybe Hibbing should come up here, or you guys should go to Hibbing, kind of maybe as to have that one competition where you guys would be able to go out of town and kind of get that competition where you're competing against other schools. We would like to be able to purchase, obviously, T-shirts or bowling shirts for the kids to wear while they're competing. Give them that sense of team. Obviously, I just mentioned the competition, the possibilities of where you do it at home, but there's a singles level, there's a doubles level, and then there's a team level. So it's possible for a kid to bowl in 3 different. If they're CI, PI, or autistic, they could bowl for 3 different levels. If you have enough for 4 kids for a team, or maybe only for doubles, or maybe only have the singles, but they can all bowl in those situations and do that. So practice probably would take place 1 to 3 times a week. He said it all depends upon how many kids you have and your space availability and those kinds of things. Got to have at least 3 competitions during the year to be able for the kids to qualify for state. Season starts Monday, February 24th, and the state tournament is on May 9th, if I'm remembering correctly. So there's, I think, 11 weeks or 10 weeks in there for them to have competitions. Like I said, you got to have a minimum of 3 to be able to qualify and to go from there. The athletes would use a handicap scoring system, so they would have a couple weeks of practice, and then they would establish a handicap score, and then all that handicap score would go into that spreadsheet, and they would get a score and then compete against the other teams. There is a fee of up to $300 depending upon the number of kids for the Minnesota Adaptive Athletics Association, and then of course there would be compensation needed for the coach. So I'm looking at that financially. I know that's obviously some things that we need to look at that there for specifics as far as what the coach would cost and transportation if it would come to that. So if you guys have any questions about the bowling?
Questions? I do.
Yeah.
How about assistance?
Yeah, that's a great question. Depending upon the number of kids, I would say we might be in that situation. It's a great thought that I hadn't thought about. So that's a possibility.
I'm super excited about it. I've tried to bring this in the past, and I had to tough one because with his persistence, I've been given this every year when I go to the school board conference. So he hands out like the actual adaptive bowling and his card and stuff. So I figured it was the same guy. I'm sure, I know I've talked to Heidi in the past, and she's always said there's no interest. So I can't see we have an issue with it.
Yeah, I had her just kind of put a kind of a number together for it. She thought maybe grades 7 through 12, there might be upwards of 40 kids that would be in one of the, fit into one of the three categories. So they have to, they have to meet certain criteria to be able to compete. So it's just not like our Bronco bowling team that's going to stay here. It's got to be in those specific categories, and they would have to, have that classification. So it's, like I said, I think this is something that we can do for these kids, get them into that school spirit, be a part of that athletic part of it. I think I certainly hope that you guys will take it under advisement. I think it's a great opportunity.
Thanks, Tim. And now Beth from Mom Superintendent.
Yes, so tonight was supposed to be a longer school board meeting, but it's moved to December because our financial team is still in the audit stages for the 23-24. So a lot of the big heavy presentations will come in December. Our truth and taxation and then our Elders reports will all come in our December meeting. Go ahead, Mike, you can go to the next slide. Oh, can I do this? Oh. So I had the privilege today of spending 6 hours straight teaching all of the high school students, grade 6 through 12. Mrs. West and I introduced what we would call our school safety platform, Alice. And today was really just about an introduction of, we're changing some of our practices, introducing the acronym to the students, letting them know that information has been communicated home to families through our Skyward messaging system, and also through an online training, and then a recording will go out this week for families that can be there. There was some issues for people to get on to the recording, a few people, but the recording will go out to all families this week. The day was amazing. When you think about having 75 students in this space with you as you introduce something new that they really don't know a lot about, you think of kids maybe wanting to sneak, being on their cell phones, talking to their friends, but I can tell you today was a really great day when it came to school safety. We talked a lot about the traditional practices of the past, of when we went into a lockdown, and how we would shut off the lights, we would lock the door, and then we'd go in a corner and sit and wait. And 9 out of 10 students said that is the practice that they still have ingrained in their mind as the right thing to do. So what we talked and introduced today is we introduced what will be happening after Thanksgiving. We introduced them to the basic language today, but we told them that a letter will go out to families prior to Thanksgiving. So we will have our teachers be in the classrooms with the kids, and they're going to talk about some of the basic elements of the choice that Alice comes with. And that is going to be talking more in depth about the evacuation, talking more in depth about what counter means, talking more in depth about what a lockdown means and what a barricade could look like. We talked about the different levels of how we will teach kids, meaning our elementary for preschool through 5th grade. They will be learning through a read aloud called I'm Not Scared, I'm Prepared, and we have books ordered for all of our classroom teachers so they can keep one on hand and they can reference it. We'll be pushing out the video recording of that to families so they can also explore what we'll be teaching their students. The letter that will be sent home, though, will give families the option to opt out if they don't want their students to go through these practices and trainings. We would never talk to the kids at a level that we'll talk to maybe our 10th graders or 12th graders in preschool or 1st grade. And it's like I talked to the kids about it today. We don't want you to talk about Alice with your elementary brothers and sisters like you might talk about it with your peers. The goal is to teach kids, just like we have been taught our entire lives, about stranger danger. And just the primary focus for elementary students is going to be showing 0, which means no talking, and also having that listening lens of listening to the adult in the classroom. We also talked about using the same language throughout the school district and that 0 voice level in addition to listening to the adult that might be in the space. We talked about different levels of medical emergencies to a violent incident. We kept it very surface level. We did not do any practicing of scenarios, anything like that. They did not go through any sort of exposure that maybe your staff went through. The next level would be through permission with the families, and we will give explicitly what that will look like in our classroom. If anybody has questions, I really encourage them to reach out to Principal Tate, reach out to myself or Principal West, and we can answer further questions that they might have on that. The Falls High School training will happen the first week of December with our students in our classroom. And the Falls Elementary, the teachers will go through the second half of their training on January 3rd. And then our students will be trained at the elementary level at the end of January. So there's different layers and phases on how we'll roll that out to students. But for the high school, middle school and high school, they can expect letters to go home that week of Thanksgiving break, and then we'll ask that they be returned before December 1st, and then we'll move forward on phase 2 planning, or phase 3 planning for the high school, phase 2 planning for FES in January. Our goal is to have consistent practices throughout the district that are 21st century. ALICE training is about having choices and making decisions based on the information that you have. And it talks a lot about how we alert each other, how we inform each other, how we communicate with each other, and how, based on the information that we have, how we make the best decision with the adult in our room to respond to a situation, whether it's medical or a violent incident. In addition, we talked to the kids a lot today about the importance of just basic school safety parameters, from how you take pictures in school and taking pictures of students in other places. We talked about propping doors and how unsafe that is and how people could access our building. So we had a lot of great conversation. The kids were very engaged, and it was really powerful to see the kids really interested in learning about the different choices. We talked about how they can take these choices beyond the school walls, and they can take them out into the school community and as they move on to become young adults. A great training day with the kids. The second thing I just wanted to update you on, and you're going to be voting on, you're going to see a large accounts payable number tonight. And that really has to do with the Solar for Schools grant. In order for us to move to the next phase of the Solar for Schools grant, we have to pay for the process to start. And then what happens is we submit for reimbursement. We have received the first step in moving forward with this program, and the drilling has taken place. We've come back with an all clear to be able to move forward once the snow starts to melt in the spring. But in order to get into the lineup, we have to present payment, and then now we can submit for reimbursement. I met with CISO a number of times over the course of the last few weeks. We were in good fiscal health, so instead of having to take out a loan to move forward in order to do this, we were able to pay cash and submit the payment for reimbursement. So our financial team and I felt really good about making that decision. We are extremely excited because with the solar grant project, we are going to have this renewable energy that is going to be introduced to our school district and our community. But the next layer of that, as we move into 25, 26, there's an educational component. So our science classes and our math classes can be a part of what that looks like. They can do experiments, they can do data, they can do research, and then we can submit some of their studies to the state. So it's really exciting. We're excited to roll that out and see what it will bring for our school district. Kevin Grover and his team started this process, and it's really excited to be able to say that we're moving forward. Some miscellaneous updates that I have for you.
Is the reimbursement 100%?
It'll come back in phases. Yep. 100%. Yes. Yep. That's a great question. So for my miscellaneous updates tonight, I just want you to know that we are moving forward through the referendum process. We're still doing a lot of studying. We're looking at mandates by the state to the fiscal components of that. We're looking at project design. We have had bi-weekly meetings with the design team, and we've had user groups come in where we're looking at all the different blueprints of the building. 3 board members represent the referendum design project, and they have been a wealth of information, but we've also had community users at the table. We've had community members to coaches. We have our CTE teacher, Mr. Olson has been an integral part. We've had some preschool teachers, special education teachers. So when we think about the design component of this, it's really important that the users are there, because I can make decisions as a superintendent, but the best people to provide feedback are the people that use it. So those preschool teachers, the coaches. So that has been very helpful in the project design, because we've had to change some components based on what the needs are of the users within our community. So the other area that I just want to briefly talk about is I'd really like to move to, I know we had talked about starting to go through some of those handbooks. we just, in some of the feedback that I've gotten from some of the board members, we've decided that we really need to get back to maybe utilizing some of our subgroups instead of everybody being a part of everything. So we're really looking at breaking down into a referendum subgroup. We've already got a facility subgroup. We have a safety subgroup. So now what we're looking at is adding a handbook policy subgroup in addition to the district strategic plan subgroup. So I want you to know I'll be pushing out a sign-up sheet for those areas. And without holding a public meeting, we would need 3 people to sit on each of those groups. Right now, unless we would need more time, we would look at bi-weekly or bi-monthly or even monthly. We would have to determine based on what the needs are for each subgroup. We are going to be planning not only for the remainder of this year, but as you know, as we move into January, and we're already starting to plan for the next school year, we're always that 1 year ahead. We're going to really be looking at drilling down to what the needs are of the district. And though hard decisions need to be made, I want to make sure that we are doing the work in which the district needs to be aligned, and that we're making data-driven decisions. And some of these decisions are not feel-good decisions, and some of these decisions have to be made based on the data we have, and that could be outcome, it could be performance, it could be tied to fiscal responsibility. But I want you to know that that's an instrumental piece in how we move forward as a district, because if we continue to do what we've always done, we're going to continue to get what we've always got. And I know that we have a mindset that we really want to grow what our curriculum and instructional programming look like to meet the needs of 21st century learners. And that has to do with having doing some studies. When we look at the career and technology education, we talk about the work-based learning, and we talk about the online school and hybrid model. In order for us to be competitive in how we are losing students, we lose students to Duluth schools online, we lose students to the Minnesota Virtual Academy, we lose students to other outlying boundary schools. We have to make sure that we're in a competitive state. And that is not only in our instructional practices, it also has to do with our facilities. It has to do with our programming. It has to do with our athletics. And I think we can see tonight, and I think he left, Tim Ringhoffer is a fierce advocate for kids. And that man walks through my door every day, and I giggle because he's always there to champion for kids. And I think with that mindset, yep, there's going to be barriers and there's going to be things that we're going to have to say no to or change. But at the end of the day, the decisions have to be made on data, finances, and what's best for kids. So I really appreciate the advocacy that we've seen in the district for our kids, from community education to the new ideas that teachers are bringing forward to our building administrators. I mean, it's really exciting to sit down with Principal Tate and Principal West, because the brainstorming that happens and the feedback that they're bringing to the table. There's an energy in the district that is really exciting. But at the end of the day, I also want to recognize that tough decisions have to be made, and I know that that is not always easy for us as a superintendent or a school board. So last but not least, our grant writer started today, and she hit the ground running. She has already got a number of grants that she is looking at when it comes to CTE, when it comes to mental health and social emotional learning. The other piece is we want to stay focused on what our grant opportunities look like. So she has created a 3-tiered approach in those low-level grants and how she'll help support people within our school community. But those big dollar amount grants, that would be that tier 1. That is where she will lead the grant work, but she can't do it all. So she's developed a really nice model that we're going to roll out to staff, that she will collaborate and help teams. I know that Kate and I know community education are really involved in grant writing. She'll be a part of that team, and she'll help facilitate, and she's going to be willing to teach people. But then there's going to be components where she's not going to be able to participate in every grant project, like a $5,000 grant versus a $200,000 grant, because the outcome and involvement that she will have is what will it provide for our staff and our students to enrich their academic and social emotional experience.
And Beth, the CTE, the Career Technology Expansion, we currently have someone today, Principal West, that went to training today on that, right? And so So it was nice to hear that not only did Lisa Westbrook that and lead for that committee tonight, but then also that there's already look at possible grant writing for that to support that.
So there is a significant numbers of grants available for career technology education. And that is a priority in the referendum. And that's an expansion that is going to be very significant for Falls High School. And Dave Olson has been remarkable in providing really solid feedback on as a user and as a teacher in that area. The other thing that I want to remind us all of is we are fierce advocates for college, but we're also fierce advocates for the trade industry. And we need to provide both of those options to our students. So we're really looking at how we can expand that. And that's a 1 to 3 year process, but I can tell you right now, the funding that's available out there is quite significant. So at the end of the day, this is a statement I use at the opening at the beginning of my school year with everybody. It's an honor to be here, but I always say we all do better when we all do better. And doing better doesn't always mean positive things. There's challenges that are going to come, but I always talk about we can either dwell on the challenges or we can get busy looking for solutions. So we're going to be driven by data. We're going to be driven by passion projects for kids. And I can just tell you the team in ISD 361 has been amazing to work with, and they're really excited about the future. So thank you.
Thanks. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, and now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Discussion?
I have some questions. Go ahead. So, Betsy and I talked about this a little bit. I go through the thing every month, line by line. And I was just wondering, I saw there, we have to pay $15,000 for this audit.
Yes.
Why?
So that is a great question. There are a significant number of different mandates and expectations through the audit process. They're getting more stringent in what they're looking for and requiring. So for example, and please know, Falls Education Foundation, what they have raised and gifted to our school district is unbelievable. But when we start going through the audit process, the amount of time that it takes to compile receipts, and then they have to go through them. Every cent that was spent, for example, for the Falls Education, we had to account for every receipt that was spent, in addition to programming and special education services. And if something is not maybe where it needs to be, you have to go in and start looking for that information. So the checks and balances are more than they've been in the past. And I've never seen an audit take this long, but it's not just in the National Falls Public Schools. The Region 7 superintendents, some of them are still waiting also, but there is a cost to have an audit, and it is an audit you have to follow.
And is it really good?
I don't know that it's annual. I know there's practices of an audit each year, but I don't have the definite answer to that, but I can certainly remember for you.
Okay. I just was shocked because I mean, I know it's mandated, but I didn't realize it costs us that much to have the audit. I had no idea.
And unfunded mandates and expectations
Yes.
are growing and growing and growing. And unfortunately, that is the place for us to go through this process.
And then the other thing I just was looking at, and you and I, we did talk about this, but I think it's worth maybe sitting down and going through the accounts payable, the stuff that we're billed for everyone. For example, and I mentioned this before to Mr. Grover, we have 14 copier leases that cost us $4,500 a month. That just seems insane to me.
So, I agree. And I think that is when you talk about the work that I do this year, I'm doing a comprehensive system-wide check. So that's looking at our processes, looking at our procedures, and also looking at our systems. How can we streamline some of the things? So for example, the audit just showed the volume of credit cards for the district. That is something I had to go back and revisit and weigh the pros and cons, and we had to streamline that. I would agree, the cost that we pay out monthly
for leasing some of the equipment. Do we need all of those? I would question some of those also, that's what would be revisiting, our strategic plan.
Okay, excellent, that's all I wanted
Thanks
to
for
know.
asking.
Yeah, thanks.
Anybody else? Questions? Okay, and, so we've had discussion and now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, under action items, number 1, under improving systems and structures to create a culture where all are welcome and supported. We have 1A, the resolution and acceptance of gifts, whereas this, and donations. Whereas school board policy 706 establishes the guidelines for the acceptance of gifts or donations to the district, whereas the International Falls School District Board engages the support of the district's education program through gifts or donations that meet the goals and objectives of the school district. Whereas Minnesota statute 465.03 states the school board may accept a gift granted that lies of real or personal property only by the adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its members. Therefore, be it resolved, the school board of International Falls Public Schools ISD 361 accepts with appreciation the following gifts, donations, and grants received by the district. Sure, okay. May I, well, okay, I'm gonna read these and then I'll ask for the motion. So Dunkin' Donuts, Student Council costume winners, 6 donate certificates. PCA, Falls High School and Falls Elementary School, 2 pallets of paper. Tractor Supply Industrial Arts Display Tools, Falls Rec Hockey Arena Sound System, $15,000. Bronco Football Boosters Football Coach, $4,000. Minnesota Twins discount on tickets for International Falls Public Schools Day, $36. Sheila Field donation, Ronald and Susan Beck, $100. Dave Jacobson, $500. William Sheila, $500. FES Literacy Night, PCA, $1,000. Scott and Cynthia Adams, $500. True Star, $200. True Insure, $200. Super One Foods, ice cream, and toppings. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under 1B, approved restructuring of the maintenance transportation department. And I don't have anything to do about that. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion as well.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 1C, approve elimination of the Director of Transportation and Maintenance Supervisor position. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, increase in family and community engagement in student learning and school experiences through improved communication and collaboration. We're looking at 2.A, approved starting an adaptive bowling team. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Can I ask-
Discussion?
Yeah, can I ask a quick question on that? So if we don't know yet, like what it's gonna cost for a coach and what the costs associated are, can we, is this just an approval to say we're starting the investigation of that? Or are we saying, yeah, go ahead no matter how much it costs? Because I don't think that's what we're saying.
Yeah, you're approving to start it tonight, so if you want to amend this action, we'll have to start the process.
Okay, because I almost think we need to amend it to say something related to let's investigate. I'm all for it, but we need to figure out how much it's gonna cost before we say yes.
Right.
So if we could amend this to say what we're approving tonight is beginning the investigation process of how much it's gonna cost for a coach, how much it's gonna cost for the shirts. et cetera, and then maybe we could, once we get that information, then we can vote on moving forward with it.
Right, so go ahead and state your amended motion.
Okay, so I would like to restructure the motion to say that this is investigating the costs associated with starting a Daffy Village.
Any more, discussion on that? Motion? Motion. I'll make that motion. Second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, that was good point, Jess.
I just didn't want to get us into a situation where we could before you want to.
That's- Yeah, I have a feeling this.
Yeah, right? And we, oh, we have something to do it.
Now on the line for $5 million.
Right,
We'll try and get that information for December.
awesome. Yeah, I wouldn't think it.
And then is there's like, yeah, is there software you have to buy, or, you know, I mean.
Well, how much, I would imagine Timberpins, we're gonna have to pay them for them to go there and practice. So there's gonna be a contract.
Right,
with Timberpins.
yeah,
Yeah, so there's just a few things. that
Yeah.
we can write down.
just, yeah, details.
I'm all for it. but-
Right, yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
Don't forget to look at your MSBA dates too, guys. Make sure you
I started registering you, so,
You know, I answered yes.
When is it again?
Yeah, and I gotta,
yep, some of you already said yes, so.
oh, okay.
You're going down.
Whether you like it or not, you're
Whether
going.
you want it or not. I'm super excited to go.
It is amazing. It was good luck.
And then you got time to, I will run and grab my stamp.
Did you get yourself all right?
No, I will do that.
I got mine done.
So here you can check items where you see what are there.
It says fine.
No, it's not. You know, this is the back side, yours, that yours is.
I will.
Oh, Jen Windows just said this week school board guide, and I find it really hard to hear all of this. Perhaps next time, please, ask the board this to really talk four directly into the next.
So it's gonna be online, but Apple for you.
Well, they want us here at 5 o'clock. Something like that.
Oh, so I'm playing online. We're playing
Well, maybe we just all need to kind of.
So this week.
Because it is frustrating when you're trying to hang on, you can't hear.
But then next week, well, because it started.
Yay.
But-
So we're taking coffee in there.
What am I doing here?
Yesterday, I just.
Yeah.
It was not new. Wait for Joanne. Right, so we didn't have.
Yeah, because one of them's there till 5, right?
Everybody else.
She just needs to know that she did it all last week.
Speaker system and the sound system and all that.
Oh, well, I forgot something too.
Come on.
Every one of them has to be audited.
So, hey, it's just like everything else, he wants.
Well, that we have it. I have
You
it.
should be filing, not the, schedule that one we put out.
Got changed, I believe.
Yeah, we're probably we can put on things.
Just one change, I think.
Yeah.
Not all inside.
Well, when I was in working, it seems like there's one that's been put on the completion that's on there.
I didn't look at it pretty close.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know if they said what. 7:30 for, so like boys are practicing right now, they're practicing from 6 to 7:30. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, theoretically, you know, it could be
shut now.
August 15th, so, yeah.